Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first video for this Let's Play for Pure Farming 2018. Now, I've been playing this game quite a bit since it was released a few weeks ago, so I know most of the ins and outs of this game. I also know most of its bugs, unfortunately. If you're watching this video trying to decide whether or not you should buy this game right now, in my own opinion, I would say probably wait for a sale, or at least wait a few more weeks for them to iron out some more of the bugs. They are putting out patches every Friday at the moment, and they are ironing out as many bugs as they can possibly get to every week. They are listening to their players and adding a lot of the features, or removing some features that players are asking for. So your choices here, you can either wait a few more weeks for them to iron out some more of the bugs, or if you don't mind bearing through some of them, then by all means go and buy the game now. I bought the game pre-order. I knew this was going to... I was fully aware this was going to be full of bugs. I'm quite happy to just muddle through them, and for the moment they have fixed most of the truly game-breaking bugs. Most of the really bad ones are gone. I find that I come across very few now. Anyhow, I thought for this first Let's Play series, one of the things that I've noticed from other YouTubers doing a Let's Play series lately is that most players are starting on the Montana farm because that's how this game is intended to be played. Start on the Montana farm, which is the biggest map available with the most opportunities for income, and expand out to the other countries from there. I'm not going to do that in this first series. I am actually going to start in a different country, because I would like to see if you can still build a viable farm with a decent income and expand out from there. And I may even actually leave expanding to Montana until last. And for this series I'm going to do the Italy map because, well, this is the one that I like the most. I find it very pretty, easy to navigate. It's not overly big, so you're not driving for hours on end to get from one end to the other. Now we'll set our starting balance at 200,000. I don't want to... You can go as high as 5 million, but to be honest, if you set it at 5 million, well, what's the point in playing the game? Because you'll never need to make any money. You can buy all the equipment you like. And this map is small enough, there isn't that much equipment that you really need to buy. So I'm going to set it at 200,000. And we'll get our game loading up. I have spent some time playing on this map. I've spent some time playing on all of the maps actually. I've had a short go on most of the foreign maps. I've got a long running farm going on Montana. Most of the other maps I've spent maybe a couple of hours on. I haven't really bought any fields or anything like that beyond what you start with. Just a few pieces of equipment. Had a couple of hours go at each one just to make sure the map was actually working as intended and relatively free of bugs. So here's the equipment that we get started with in Italy. And we get a small water tanker. This is the grape and olive harvester, which has to be dragged by a tractor. And we get the small Landini tractor as well. And of course the standard red pickup truck over there. If we have a look at the map, the only field that you start with at the beginning of the game is this olive grove here, which is actually a pretty big one. Fully sprayed and watered. Once it's ready to be harvested, it gives you just a little under 10 tons of olives, which is pretty good. And I think the olive storage can hold about 50 or 60 tons. Yeah, 50 tons, there you go. So I think the first thing I'll do is I'll actually go to the vehicle store and I'll sell everything, because I don't actually want any of this equipment. For starters, that tractor has a lot of trouble pulling that water trailer when it's full. I don't really have a use for the pickup, and what I want to do is buy the bigger combine as well, like the bigger harvester, the self-propelled one. But we'll start with tractors. Now I have actually got the DLC tractor, the Lindner Geotrack, which my first one is free, so I'll get that delivered to the shed. The next one will cost me $78,000. They're not cheap. Only your first one is going to be free. I've also got this Landini Rex, which, these are the two orchard tractors. I find that the Rex is better. It doesn't seem to have any trouble pulling the spray or anything like that. The other one seems to struggle a fair bit. The fuel consumption's a lot higher on this, but so's the horsepower. Okay. I'll save buying anything else until I get down to the store. If you haven't bought this yet, just bear in mind, buying any vehicles from the tablet will cost you 20% more than buying them from the store directly. So wherever possible, go to the store to buy your vehicles and equipment. Where am I? I'm lost. Oh no, I've gotten lost. A couple of minutes into the game and I'm lost already. Where am I? Okay, hang on. Let me figure this out. Where am I? That is the food market. The shop's all the way up there. I think the easiest way to go is going to just be to head south onto the road and then make a turn. And one of the things I really do love about this game is the textures. They look really good, most of them anyway. The vehicle textures, the ground textures, things like that, they look really, really good. Personally, I think they look better than Farming Simulator. I know I could set waypoint markers to find the store and things like that, but basically all you need to find is the main road. This main road just drives in it leads in a big circle around the outer edge of the map. So if you can find the main road, you can find your way to anything, because all of your major buildings are dotted around that main road. Okay, there's my olive grove to my left. Now I know where I am. Okay. I don't usually get vehicles transported to that shed because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere and I always forget where I am. I'll just pull up at the shop. Hello. Would you care to sell me some machinery? I'm here to buy expensive stuff. Okie dokie. And now that is the harvester that we started with. This is the one I'm after, the big one. 110,000 bucks. I get the feeling we're going to be spending pretty much all of the money that I've got. Now if I go to trailers, I am going to want... I'm going to want this metal tech for carting around fertilizer bags. And I'm going to buy the big water tank, the 12,000 litre. And what else am I going to want? Ah, and this truck. Because the olive storage is not exactly close to the olive grove, and it would take too long to get there with the harvester. I'm also going to need a sprayer. And one of the things I think they do need to work on, these have lined up nicely, but there have been times when I've bought 3 or 4 pieces of equipment at the store, and then they've ended up scattered around the car park, sitting at funny angles, very hard to get them out. And I think they need to fix that placement system when you are buying equipment. I'm basically going to have to take this equipment back down to the farm from the front set to the rear set. I'm just going to have to clear it out bit by bit. Whoops. Might want to fill this up. Now, one of the drawbacks of starting on this map, or even playing on this map in general, is that you can't hire workers to do any of these jobs. This map is entirely made up of olive groves and vineyards. There are no workable fields for growing grain crops on this map, and workers can't spray fields or harvest them, so all of the jobs that need to be done, you're going to have to do them manually. It's unfortunate, it's a fact of life, but having said that, these jobs really don't take all that long. They're a lot quicker than farming grain crops are. I think the next thing in line was actually a truck. Yep. And I'm not going to put this down on the farm because if we have a look on the map, around this other side of the island, we've got 1, 2, 3 greenhouses all in roughly the same spot. There's a big water tank nearby to refill the water. There's a shed there, which means there's fertilizer tank, or a fertilizer pallet for the solid fertilizer, which is a better place to be buying greenhouses. Now, for the time being, I don't think I'm going to buy chickens. I think I'll just leave it. I've actually found that the eggs just don't sell for enough to make it worth it, not even as a supplementary income. That looks like a wind turbine. Yes, it is. As far as I know, there's no solar panels on this map either, but there are wind turbines, so I am going to buy them. Just for the supplementary income. It's not much. I think the wind turbines give you $200 a day each, something like that. So it's really not much. But the supplementary income you get from those pretty much covers the cost of your fertilizer bags for your greenhouses, so it's not really costing you anything in the long run. And that's the whole point of this game, really, I think. The developers have said it themselves. I know a lot of people, one of the huge complaints, aside from the bugs, about this game is that the price on crops is crap compared to Farming Simulator, and it's really hard to make money just off your crops. Now this is true. I mean, if you have a look, it's not statistics, it's in the shop. If you have a look, peppers, tomatoes, cabbages, well, you know, those are greenhouse products, so they sell for more than anything else. But then look at olives and grapes. You know, the price of grapes there, $7.33. That's probably the highest I've ever seen it, because it usually sits at around about $6.50, and olives somewhere between $5.50 and $600. So I love that oranges are the most profitable of the lot, considering I don't have them. The only DLC I didn't get, because I didn't order from the developer's website, I actually pre-ordered through Steam, so I didn't get the oranges. And back to our other tractor. Let's start bringing some of this other equipment down. I think I'll start with the water tank, so I can get the water tank down here filled up. one of the things, as I was saying, one of the things the developers have said outright is that you'll get back what you put in work in this game, and I like that. I prefer that. I've been playing Farming Simulator for years. I've been playing the Farming Simulator series since FS13. Um, since FS13, I've bought the next two as well, pre-order, before they even came out. So I'm not one of those people that's never played Farming Simulator, or I've spent 15 minutes playing it and decided that it was junk or something like that. I have been playing those games for a very long time. I've racked up thousands of hours on them, and I'm not complaining about them. I'm not saying that they're bad games, because they're not. They're great games. They're awesome. They have a huge range of vehicles available. But what they lack is a change of scenery, and that's something that this game gives, is a change of scenery. And what they also lack is the need to work really, really hard. Because even playing those games on hard, I don't find it difficult to be making millions of dollars, hand over fist, every day. And you can do it by simply grain crop farming and doing nothing else. Farm grain crops, rinse and repeat, or even better, farming silage. That'll earn you millions of dollars a day, easily, for very little effort, because you can do 2/3 of the jobs with hired workers and just sit back and read a book. This game doesn't allow you that. It's not as forgiving, and I like that. You'll struggle to make $50,000, but it feels better when you have. When you've built up that $50,000 and you can buy another vineyard, another olive grove, a more expensive piece of machinery, a secondary set of piece of machinery. Something like that. It's a lot less forgiving, and that's as it should be. They've designed it that way. A lot of people on the Steam discussion boards are constantly moaning about the low price of crops in this game, and can you please beef it up? I might take this guy out to where the greenhouses are. And people are asking, please beef up the price of crops, we're not making enough money. And then they're quoting Farming Simulator. What did I just get stuck on? I got stuck on an invisible rock. I think what these people fail to understand is, by quoting Farming Simulator every time and saying, well, FS17 has this and FS17 has that, why doesn't Pure Farming have it? Because this isn't FS17. I'm not usually a cranky kind of guy. I'm pretty easygoing, but lately these are the complaints that have really been getting underneath my skin a lot. This is a different game. It's meant to be a different game, and if the developers, which I hope don't start to give in to people's demands to make this more like Farming Simulator, if they make this game more in line with Farming Simulator's features and graphics and everything else, and physics, well, okay, fair enough, they could probably use the work on the physics. If they make it more in line with Farming Simulator, then it's not worth buying, because it's just another carbon copy of Farming Simulator, and they've abandoned their principles as to what this game should be. The developers have had a clear idea of how this game should function, what its basic principles should be. If they go and change things now, then they may as well have just thrown their original plans out the window. But that's just my opinion. That's how I feel about it. I feel very strongly about it, obviously. You can tell. Dude, get out of my way. Seriously, either step on it or just stop and get out of my way. Why is it every farming simulation game that I have ever played, everybody has to drive like an old woman? Alright, I'll buy this greenhouse. I know they're the cheapest crop of the lot, but I'm going to put tomatoes in because they grow faster and you can pretty much harvest them twice a day. And I'm going to upgrade it. As a matter of fact, I might just buy this one as well. Now, I could have bought the vineyard next to my olive grove, but I'm going to save that for a bit later. Oh, do I spend the 10? Yeah, I'm going to do it. Let's leave ourselves broke, why not? There we go, I got 16,000 bucks left in the bank. And that's got to cover my fertilizer and pesticide costs until I start getting some income. Alright, I got 2 greenhouses now. Let's get them filled up with water. No, stop playing my music. I don't want you to play my music. I'll tell you what, when you've got an upgraded greenhouse, they really suck up the water. 12,000 litres per greenhouse. I swear I probably spend more time driving back and forth, filling up water tanks, than I do actually harvesting vineyards and olive groves. Oh, looks like there's another wind turbine up there. What's that? It looks like another construction site for a wind turbine. Let's go have a look. While we drag a heavy trailer full of water behind us. We'll just do a bit of off-roading to get there. Yep, that was. Hello, wind turbine. Geez, you could have opened the gate a bit wider. I'll buy that one too. And just blow a bit more money. Let's get back on the road. On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. Fill up our other greenhouse. Off the road again. Just can't wait to run off the road again. Stop. One of these things I found about this DLC tractor, it does not like to stop once it's at speed. I'm just going to drop my water tank here for the moment. Teleporting my tractor back to the shop would be a complete and utter waste of time. Because I can't. And the nearest shed is just as far away from it as where I am now anyway. I think I need to spend some money to buy some sheds rather than buying wind turbines. Speaking of which, I just drove past another one. On the road again. One of the things that I'm really grateful that they've fixed in the last patch is the fuel consumption, because it was terrible. I would have been at half a tank of fuel by now, just having done the driving that I've done before they fixed that. Now that they've fixed it, pretty sure I can run this tractor for about a good week of in-game time before I need to refill it. It means that if it's an option that you can set, so it means that if you do set, whoops, I think I just knocked out a piece of the wall. If you do set it for lower fuel consumption, you'll pay more per litre to offset that less frequent refilling. I don't mind paying that though, when you consider the fact that the alternative is that I might run out of fuel 3 or 4 times a week and wind up having to recover my tractor. I have never actually let a tractor run out of fuel. I've come close. I got down to my last maybe 1 or 2 litres of fuel. I've never actually let it run out though, so I don't know what happens in that situation. Nothing good, I would assume. At the shop again. Alright, need this trailer. You, trailer, come with me. That just looks hilarious. This huge big tractor with a huge big fat backside on it, dragging this teeny tiny little tin trailer. That is so overpowered for pulling a tiny trailer. So unnecessary. But it's also so very free. Yeah, you can honk me all you like. You were driving too slow. Had to get around you. Yes, I have turned off tree collision because at the moment it's too much of a problem. In some places, the designers of these maps have put the trees in some really, really stupid places. You'll see that when I go to harvest the olive grove. Stone walls, trees, rocks, they've just put them in some seriously stupid places, and it makes it, with the turn arc of some of these harvesters and tractors, it makes it impossible to turn the damn thing around in less than a 10-point turn and get it lined up with the next row of grapevines or olive trees or whatever. I wonder how many of those guys I caused to have an accident back there. I should actually turn the traffic off as well, because while it makes it look a bit more alive, it's also bugged. And occasionally those guys hit something non-existent on the road, and then the traffic just gets backed up. That is one hungry greenhouse. And that's just one greenhouse. This is going to take three trips to fill them up. I could leave it at 90%, but just for completion's sake, I mean, 80% fertilizer is easily enough to last it until those tomatoes are ready, but at least early on. Whoa! And that's the other problem at the moment too with the driving controls. Sometimes it can be a bit hard to stop. As you just saw, can throw your tractor into reverse all of a sudden. Not so much of a problem if you're going to continue driving, but if you're planning on getting out of your tractor anytime soon, it can be a bit of a problem because you can't do it while it's moving. Alright, that's the two greenhouses sorted. I think the only thing left to do is spray that olive grove. Oitink, oitink. Whoops. I want the map. And I want to mark my olive grove, because that's where my sprayer is. I am going to use a waypoint this time because I'm actually going to use the dirt roads to get there. Rolling, 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 very slowly rolling. If you've got this tractor available because you got the DLC but you haven't used it yet, just be aware its top speed's like 30 kilometers an hour, maybe 35, unladen. It's not exactly Mr. Zippy. What it does have though is a fantastic turning arc when it's pulling one of these things. It makes those tight turns in coffee plantations much better to deal with. Hose it down, buddy, hose it down. There's your in-cab view. Is it just me, or would some of you feel kind of claustrophobic being in this thing? Nice looking tractor, very modern. But Jesus, is it tiny. Alright, this job's clearly going to take a while because, I mean, damn, look at the size of this. I think we'll come back when this is finished. It has to be said, I do love the I love the basic principle behind these sprayers, really. I mean, it's so simplistic that it just makes it hilarious. Pump your pesticide fluid into a great big fan and watch it blow the stuff all over the trees. And finally done. And I'm going to have to go and refill this thing again because it used up almost the entire tank. This really is an ugly little tractor too when you have a look at that. I mean, it looks like, I don't know, somebody stuck a coffee table on the end of a box, put wheels on it and called it a tractor. But that being said, I think it's grown on me. As ugly as it is, it gets the job done. Which is all I really care about. It could be the ugliest tractor in the world, as long as they got the textures looking good. I really wouldn't care. Now, there are some textures in this game that I think really do need a lot of work. Particular, most especially the crops, when you've got them in the back of a truck. Like the truck that I bought at the start of the game. I think those textures really need some work, because when that truck is full with anything, it doesn't matter what it is, it could be tomatoes, olives, grapes, or wheat, it looks like it's carrying a load of toxic waste, not a dry crop. The crops just look wet and shiny and slick, and it's really weird. It's the only way I can describe it. It's just really weird looking. I think I'll park that there. I'll go back over to our greenhouses, and I'll speed up the clock until they're ready. Zoom! Actually, those orchard tanks are going to need a refill, because that orchard tank's going to empty out. That was stupid. I just remembered, I'm going to have to drive back to the olives. Well, that just picked it up rather roughly. You'd think that would have flipped the tractor. It's a bit rough. Oh, and there's something else that they're obviously going to need to fix too. Look at the back end of that trailer as I'm driving. It's a twerking trailer. That looks ridiculous. Doop, 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 doop. That seriously looks like the Great Twerking Trailer. That's going to have to be addressed, because that just looks wrong on many levels. Oh, the greenhouses are ready. I better slow the clock down so they don't spoil. I hate that corner. It's an absolute nightmare. Now, yes, it's a long trip around this map, but thankfully, at least, as I said, it's easy to navigate. Just follow the road. You'll find your way back to your farm eventually. And conveniently, there's a water tank right there. And one of the things I like about starting on this map compared to some of the other foreign country maps is just that everything here seems to be pretty conveniently located. It's not that far a drive to get from, say, water tank to greenhouse, or from water tank to olive grove. or even from your greenhouses to the storage area for your fruit and veg. Yep, thought so. It's empty. Top it up. And then we'll get back to the greenhouses. With our trailer twerking along behind us. They really need to fix the bounce on that thing because it's so jerky and just goofy. Can't think of a better word for it. It's just goofy. It looks like it's twerking. Uh-oh. Incoming. Maybe we'll go and turn the traffic off. See, I've got that set to turn off the AI traffic, but it doesn't do it automatically at the start of a new game. I've actually got to go and apply those settings at the start of each new game, which is really annoying if I forget to do it and then have a head-on collision with a van. I think it's pretty much the same 4 or 5 cars that just drive in a big circle around the map anyway. And occasionally pull into the petrol station for fuel. And yeah, I know I could turn on my lights because it's night time, but it's actually a bright night. And this map is pretty well lit. Oh, there's another wind turbine right there. I think that'll be the next purchase as soon as I get some money coming in. And I'll just park this out of the way so the truck can get to it. Mind you, the water level's going to need a refill soon. Let's see if I can get another harvest out of it without having to refill the water. Probably not. Ooh, look at those pallets go. 6.4 tons a day of tomatoes is pretty good. And then when we buy the third one, that'll be 9.6 tons a day, which is even better. Like I said, storage is close by. I'm not going to sell them yet. I'm going to wait until... That was 4.6 tons. No, something like that. That was a bit over 4 tons. This truck's got a 14-ton capacity, so I'll probably wait until I've got a full truckload before I go sell those tomatoes off. What am I doing? Idiot. Driving in wonky lines everywhere. Let's just park this. I know a lot of YouTubers are all about the realism and, oh, let's park our machinery in sheds all nicely lined up at the end of the day and so on and so on. I'm not one of them. I'm sorry, if you like that, you're not going to see it in my videos. I'm not one of those people. I actually prefer to park my vehicles where it's going to be convenient, not realistic. That's just the way I am. That's just how I roll. So I'm sorry if that annoys you and you're sitting there thinking, well, that's not very realistic. I think these games add enough realism to keep me comfortably playing without me having to go and park my vehicles in perfect lines and deal with the headache of having to back up a tractor with a trailer attached. I'm not using a steering wheel, I'm just using my Xbox One controller, so trying to back up a trailer like that with that, trying to back up a tractor with a trailer like this would be a right royal pain in the butt. And you guys would end up watching 42 minutes of me backing up a tractor with a trailer on it and 3 minutes of farming. I'd have to change the titles. How not to back up a trailer. Oh, we're going to get another harvest out of this. It's going to be cutting it close. Water level's getting a bit low. Should be good. Should be good. That's going to mean a lot of trips to the water tank though. Yeah, look at that. Now you can see what I mean about the textures. In the boxes, they look great. You know, like the top layer is 3D, everything else underneath it is 2D. So it kind of looks more like tomatoes sitting in soup. Something like that. But you'll see what I mean when I fill up the truck. I didn't point it out last time, but I will this time. I'm not having a go at Ice Flames. They've done a fantastic job getting this game out as quickly as they did with such good graphics and features. It just needs some tweaking. And unfortunately, as is so often the case, the publishers pushed them to get this game out as quickly as possible, because while the demand was high for it, which meant that it wasn't finished. If you look at those textures though, if you get up close, it doesn't look too bad. That looks like a truck full of tomatoes for the most part. Still looks like it did in the pallets. Yeah, tomatoes in soup. Sludge or something. But if you look at the way the sun reflects off it, I mean, it just looks too shiny, too wet. That could be anything. When you're carrying wheat, that looks like wet mud. And if you're carrying peppers or olives or something else that's green, it just looks like toxic waste. And somehow I don't think toxic waste transportation is a booming farm business. Oh, I'm not going to make you guys watch me do 3 trips with a water trailer, so I'm going to run this trailer back and forth and fill up these water tanks, and then I'm going to come back. Righto, so the water tanks are filled up. I've just got to refill all of this fertilizer. Good thing I've only got 2 greenhouses to do at the moment, because doing 3 would take just too long. And I think I'm going to do eventually buy the 3rd one. I'm going to have to do most of that work off camera. Fill her up. Fill her up, Bob. And slam into a rock. Like I said, there's some really stupidly placed rocks in this game. And I could detach that trailer for now, because I might need the water tanker. Yeah, that olive grove should still be growing. Yep, you can actually see, it marks it on the map, it's in its flowering stage, so it won't be ready until probably day 3 or 4. I think it flowers for 2 days and then it's ripe. So I don't think that's going to be ready until day 4. Which means I will probably leave this video where it's at this episode. I might finish it up here. And even though I've only got 10,000 bucks left before I go, I'm going to buy this wind turbine as well. So that gives us 3. That's $600 a day of income. Might not sound like much, but every bit counts at the moment, because we're down to 5,884 bucks. Not a lot of money. So I think we'll leave it here. I might do some work on this off camera just until the olive grove is ready, and then when we come back next episode, the olive grove will be ready for harvesting and we can start selling. By then we'll be able to start selling some of these tomatoes and getting some income going too, because I should have a fair bit in storage. So as usual, leave your comments, questions, criticisms below, and if you like the channel and you'd like to see more, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, bye for now.